One Piece is a massive series that's been ongoing for 27 years. With 1,113 episodes and 1,152 chapters in the manga, starting the series on the big 2025 is a massive mountain to climb. But how about the games? Is the game sufficient enough to tell you the story of One Piece? That's what we're gonna find out today in One Piece Pirate Warriors 4. Now, it's painfully obvious that Pirate Warriors 4 is not the best start for any gamer who doesn't know anything about the story. Rather, it's perfect for a fan who wants a quick, engaging recap. In this video, we are gonna analyze Pirate Warriors 4 story, not by its dialogue and cutscenes, but on its level design. I will be going through the game, repeating it as much as I can, extracting every information, and directly comparing it to the manga. Discussing what did they change, what did they add and remove, and if its changes enhances the overall experience or worsen it. Today, we will be covering the entirety of the Alabasta arc. Let's start with the first level of the Alabasta arc. This level covers manga chapters 158 to 159. The chapter started with Ace eating and Smoker confrontation, then Luffy rocketed both Smoker and Ace away and started eating. Luffy realized Smoker was there and he made a run for it with a mouth full of food. Luffy started running towards the crew and everyone freaks out about it. Ace then protected the crew by using the Mera Mera no Mi, and the crew made a run for it back to the Going Merry. The game expanded it with the initial encounter of Smoker as a fight. After beating Smoker, you now have to capture the territory, which is the chase scene in the manga. This is also the tutorial level that introduces the mechanics of capturing territories and the overall flow of the game. You have to beat then a marine mini-boss, which once again didn't happen in the manga, and Ace opened up a path by using his Mera Mera no Mi instead of attacking Smoker. The next objective is to guide back the Straw Hat to the ghost town in order to escape. In this mission, I used Luffy, and there are sub-missions that had happened in this part of the level, like Luffy rescuing Usopp, and an encounter between Zoro and Tashigi, and Zoro getting lost and fighting more marines. These sequence of fights and objectives that you had to do in the game did not happen to the story. When all of the Straw Hats along with Ace finally reaches the destination, which is not the Going Merry by the way, but the ghost town, which most likely is Yuba, we then had a final battle with Smoker and Tashigi. Overall, using this as the first level of One Piece could have been good if the map design is accurate enough. The fights in this level are totally acceptable as it is the first level and the tutorial for how the overall flow of the game works. Just based on my own preferences and opinion, it would have been perfect first level if you have to fight both Smoker and Tashigi in front of the Going Merry. Since the fights are already inaccurate, map design could have still enhanced the whole level. Also, I would like to add that in chapter 168, they actually have another chase scene with the Marines. In this chapter, the Zoro and Tashigi encounter, and Usopp and Nami getting blocked by a bunch of Marines happened. What the game actually did is mixed up both chapters 158 to 159 and chapter 168, which is heavily inaccurate and even worsens the overall experience. The next level on the other hand is the exact opposite of its previous one, and it's because this particular level happened off screen. I am talking about the Mr. Prince level. This level covers chapters 174 to 176. In this chapter, the whole level happened in Crocodile's POV. That means most of the gameplay that you will see in this level happened off screen. In this level, as Mr. Prince, you have to defeat Baroque Works and make a commotion for the whole map until one of the Baroque Works contacts Crocodile. Once Crocodile goes outside, he would try to find you trailing the areas you've been in. In this part of the level, Chopper would also appear distracting everyone claiming that he is Mr. Prince, distracting Crocodile in the process. The next objective in this level is you have to beat a bunch of Baroque Works and enter the Rain Dinner so that you can free everyone. In the manga, you didn't fight any of the Baroque Works but instead destroy its bridge. It would have been more accurate and better if they included that since they also did that in the Shabodia Archipelago. Moving on to the next objective of the level is to fight Mr. 3. In the manga, what happened is you had to fight a bunch of banana dials, and instead of finding a key, you found a beaten up Mr. Tree. Then you forced him to make a key out of wax and kick the living daylight out of him. You can tell me that this level isn't canon at all, as most of it didn't even happen on screen. But this kind of perspective just made the level overall enjoyable for me. Pirate Warriors is a Muso game, but in moments as big as this one, you know you have to do a 1v1. And that's exactly what happens in this level. This kind of level pushed me to make this video. This is the level that got me curious about the accuracy of each level to its manga counterpart, and I can confidently say that out of all the levels we have tackled so far, this one is the most accurate. And at this point, what I'm about to point out is just basically nitpicking, but for the sake of the video, I will mention every difference. It would have been better as a level if Crocodile is a bit tougher and harder to fight. In the manga, Luffy is not doing shit to Crocodile. He is simply untouchable, so a little bit of difficulty would add to the immersion. Also, they should have added Sandstorm even in the background like it's a thing growing over time, as it is a big part of the fight. On the positive side though, I really like that Desert Girasoli is a big part of this fight as it is in the manga. This also greatly enhanced the fight as positioning is also a consideration. It gives us a little bit more layer of complexity that makes this boss fight really hype. The next level is a big one. It covers manga chapters 181 to 209. In the manga, the Straw Hats is a whole entrance that separated all of the agents. Then, Vivi went ahead and tried to stop the rebels, but Mr. 2 chases Vivi. And then, Usopp and Sanji swap positions. It could have been a good intro for this specific level. It's a good setup that could include Usopp and Chopper versus Mr. 4 and Miss Merry Christmas. This also perfectly sets up the whole battle of agents versus Straw Hats. They could have also added the actual war, since the game can add multiple factions that would add a level of immersion to the game, unlike you just fighting anyone who appears in the map. One thing that we miss out a lot on is the Usopp and Chopper versus Mr. 4 and Miss Merry Christmas. It could have been a really good level. They could use the most just like what they did in the previous level, and Usopp shooting Miss Merry Christmas like a whack-a-mole, and Chopper versus Mr. 4 is a level where you can like dodge the balls or hits of the baseball bat and have it on as like a friendly fire that could damage the enemies as well, just like what happened in the freaking manga. It would have been a good gimmick since Usopp and Chopper are both technique types, and I think we missed out a lot on it. But instead, the level immediately starts with Vivi ordering us to beat Baroque Works. Eventually, you do defeat everyone, and in the midst of it, Marines appear in the battlefield and you have to defeat Tashigi as one of your main objectives. There are also side missions in this level where you have to capture a territory with Usopp so that he can use the cannons, and just you helping around Sanji defeat like a bunch of Marines. After defeating all of the Baroque Works, Mr. 1 and Mr. 2 would appear in this level. In both of my repeats, there's 3 situations that have happened. The first one is that Sanji would go to Mr. 2. This mostly happens if Chopper fights Mr. 2. The second one is Mr. 2 would rush to Sanji. Or, if you are already there and kill Mr. 2 quick enough, the two won't even meet at all and you would just trigger another cutscene. This boss fights along with Mr. 1 is just your average boss fight, no gimmicks or tricks. They might show you their whole moveset if you drag the fight long enough, but after beating them, it would just again trigger another cutscene on how both Zoro and Sanji would beat Mr. 1 and Mr. 2. But aside from that, there's nothing worth mentioning here. It's still accurate in a sense, but they didn't really put that much effort when it comes to the boss fights. I guess it sounds like 2009, but my suggestions is just bring back the QTEs, man. I mean, Cyber Connect 2 does that well with the Naruto and with the Demon Slayer. I bet Koei Tecmo can do it as well. Before we talk about the rest of the level, I just want to talk about 2 possible boss fights that we could have had in this level. I think this level has a lot of potential, and I think it could have been expanded very well. it could have been very immersive if these are included in the fight. And one of these bosses is actually Nami versus Miss Doublefinger. I am not gonna lie, this should have been added in the level. It could have been the perfect tutorial for Nami's moveset. Not only that, but this battle is as intense as those that came before and significant to Nami's growth in combat. Other than that, they already have the model for it. They already have the moveset for it, but they didn't apply that. So it was really disappointing. I've been wishing for Nami versus Miss Doublefinger and Chopper and Usopp versus Mr. Four and Miss Merry Christmas, because I want the Straw Hat to be as involved as they are, just like in the actual story. One thing that we have missed on a lot though, and this might be a gag, this might be a joke, but I'm just gonna say it right here. Mizu Luffy. Oh, how have we been robbed? In the manga counterpart, Luffy arrived exactly at the 10 minutes timer that we got in the game. In there, Luffy is rocking a huge barrel and could attack Crocodile by soaking himself with the water. But Crocodile having the power to dehydrate Luffy, Luffy just drank all of the water, creating the magnificent and all-powerful Mizu Luffy. This might appear as a joke to you guys, but I'm really serious for this one. Mizu Luffy would be really good in this game. Considering that Gear 4 Bounce Man and Gear 5 is a Sky type, Gear 4 Snake Man and Gear 2 is a Speed type, a Mizu Luffy Technique type character would be really good as the perfect counter for the Loga type. It would be a perfect gag character, but also really OP as well depending on who you're fighting. And I guess that just complete the whole thing, right? Luffy does everything, okay? He is a Sky type, a Speed type, a Power type, and a Technique type. That would be like really cool. Anyways, going back to the level, the 10-minute timer is accurate, but we didn't have to fight Baruch Works to find where it is. Vivi figured it out on her own, and they all found a way to get there by doing an insane teamwork. But I could have give this one a pass as a good replacement because it still keeps the essence of a Muso game. It's engaging and the timer gives you a lot of tension since you have to go through the whole map to complete the level. Overall, there's a lot of missed potential in this game and it could have been more engaging. I just hate that a lot of fights that includes Chopper and Nami have been cut, most likely because they didn't even make a pre-time skip moveset for both characters. Finally enough though, in the previous games, all Straw Hats are playable pre-time skip and they have a lot of moveset to play with. And they even have the models in the cutscenes. Okay, I need to calm down. Anyways, let's talk about the last level of this arc. A rematch between Luffy versus Crocodile. This fight is like any other fight but it has a gimmick. One Piece Pirate Warriors 4 doesn't have blood in it, maybe because it's catered for teens, and to avoid higher age rating, they avoided including blood in its fight scenes, so what they did is add a gimmick where there's water leaking to the pillars, and if you attack it enough, it would spread around the map, cancelling Crocodile's Logia. Aside from that, there's nothing really notable to say in this fight. It can be won by ease. One thing that they could have added though, of course, I have to say that, is add a 2-minute timer. In the manga, the whole fight between Luffy and Crocodile happened within the 10-minute time limit that had happened in the previous level. It would have been better if they added more tension by putting a 2-minute timer with that boss fight. One Piece Pirate Warriors 4 is very in-depth when it comes to its level design. There's a lot to consider, a lot to add, and a lot to change and remove. Looking at this particular arc though, I must admit that some of it falls short to the standard that its manga delivered, but most delivered and enhanced the overall experience of its story. In its own way, I feel more connected with its character because not only by looking at it on their own perspective, I have to be them even for just a few minutes, experiencing the tension and pressure that they have faced. Now I wonder if Water 7 in any lobby arcs would hold up to its manga, and if it would deliver a better experience. If you are excited for the next analysis too, make sure to like and subscribe to stay updated for the next video. Also, I've been streaming One Piece Pirate Warriors 4 Trophy Hunt with a twist. Check it out if you want for more One Piece content. For now though, this is Myusene, and thank you so much for watching.